You've changed. Your own darkness. It doesn't frighten you anymore. How can you tell? Because I'm you. No, I'm me. I'm me, he says. Must be nice being real. A fake like me could never get away with saying that. That's right. I'm a phony. A fake! The way I look, the way I feel, everything I remember. And even this newfound power. Huh? I thought by finding some new strength, I could finally be someone who's not at all you. But nothing changes. I'm still just empty. Everything about me is borrowed. As long as you're around, I'll never be more than a shadow!
This video had almost beaten me, but I think I figured out how to tell this story. Riku's story is weird. It's very good, but shit gets weird and confusing for almost everyone. I think the best way to explain this story is to break it into two stories. Riku's story and Replica's story. Riku's story is the story of a person who hates themselves, a person who's isolated and alone, a person just like me, who eventually learns to accept the parts they hate about themselves and become a better, stronger person. Replica's story is the story of a person who accepts themselves and tragically has others change them. It's a story about a loss of identity that ends tragically, as they are only remembered by the person they are a copy of. The hidden story in Chain of Memories is about the two of them changing past each other, fighting each other, and eventually having a genuine moment when one of them dies in the other's arms. It's about darkness and light and anime bullshit. But if you look closer, there's a lot of ways you can read into it. Riku's story starts with him in complete darkness, all alone, very similar to me, and ends with him walking the road to dawn with his surrogate father, Mickey Mouse. Having gone back and read through the whole thing, this story is denser than I thought, so I'm gonna have to split it up again. So here's the plan. What is Riku's story? What is it about? Why did I resonate with it so much? We're going to recap and talk about the new people in the story. We're going to talk about Riku's story fully and how it ends. What did I learn from this? And do it be gay? The answer is yes. The answer is always yes. What is it? Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories is a very annoying game. I really like it, but most people don't. If you manage to finish the complicated and confusing story of the original game, there is an entire second game, a better game with a better story. In the original game, after you beat it, you unlock a second campaign, Riku's story. And because it's so deep in the game, a lot of people overlook it. And a lot of people don't notice the gay themes it touches on. In the story, Riku's fighting his own internalized hatred. He feels guilty for destroying his home, abandoning his friends and family, and embracing the darkness deep inside his heart. He felt bored on the island. He wanted more. And when Kairi arrived on the island, suddenly he knew he wanted to leave. He wanted to know what was out there. And he didn't just want to see it alone. He wanted to see it with Sora and Kairi. But there was a problem. A man, Ansem, this evil dark voice in Riku's head. He tempted Riku to embrace his darker side. Riku opened the door to darkness, a door that he and Sora found as children. When the door opened, his home was destroyed. But in that moment, the only thing he noticed, the only thing he was focusing on, was Sora's hand. Ahum. Ahum, ahum. I now quote from the book. He reached out to him, and Sora reached back. But surrounding them was darkness. Riku was swallowed by the darkness, and ever since then, he has felt alone. Without Sora, without his friend Kairi, his story throughout Chain of Memories is about him slowly revealing his past and the parts he took place in Kingdom Hearts 1, and explaining how he felt and what he was doing, while Sora was off in the Disney worlds. Why did I relate so much? The reason I was so connected and so affected by the story was because it felt so similar to my own life. Its themes of identity and loneliness, self-hatred and internal darkness spoke to me. When I was Riku's age, when I was 15, I was also confused and angry, and I was fighting my own self-hatred. And just like Riku, I have to fight that battle every day for the rest of my life. Watching someone go through that would have been very helpful for me, but I never got to see it because it was locked behind beating this game. This game wasn't even on consoles at first, and I never even played this game until I was much older. I never understood this game completely until now. I wish I had this game as a kid. I wish I understood what I do now, because regardless of what you think, Riku may or may not be gay, but the themes around him are. The feeling of fighting this part of yourself that makes you different than everyone else, this part that makes you stronger and makes you able to survive anything, is gay. I don't care what anyone says. The villains are all queer-coded. He constantly mentions how much he cares about Sora. And overall, there are a lot of things about Riku that only make sense if he's gay. I think generally, most people think Riku's gay. Not everyone agrees that he and Sora are together. And this series is here for me to truly decide personally if Riku is real in the first place. But there are still 1,000 pages to read, record, catalog, and think about before I can even say how I truly feel. But this story has a lot of gayness going on. So let's jump into the actual story. The recap and the new players. This story is happening in tandem with the other one, taking place both before and after the original Chain of Memories. Riku never actually sees Sora the entire time. He only watches him sleeping at the end. Until the final boss dies, he never even knows that Sora's there. The story starts with Riku trapped in the realm of darkness, and he leaves that realm for 2 reasons. Reason 1, a man named Diz gives him a card that transports him out of the darkness. And reason 2, he and Sora's hearts are linked. Zexion reveals at one point that the two are bound, and wherever Sora is, Riku will follow. And it maintains consistent throughout the entire series. So let's talk about all the campy villains in this story. In the organization, the bad guys are split into 2 groups. The ones upstairs and the ones downstairs. The ones upstairs are trying to take over the entire organization. They want a coup. They want to brainwash Sora, the hero of light, and turn him into a weapon with Naminé's memory witch powers. We have Marluxia, the pink-haired, flower-petal Grim Reaper that's in charge of everyone, Larxene, the cruel bad girl, and Axel, the double-agent assassin. In this story, we focus more on the ones downstairs. Zexion, the emo behind the scenes, who is the real one in charge. Lexaeus, the big buff man who acts as the muscle and the cool-headed one. And Vexen, the scientist that creates Replica. We also see what is left of Ansem. Now he has nothing more than an evil demonic voice inside Riku's heart. He wants to possess Riku again by getting him to use the darkness. And as Riku goes from world to world, he runs into illusions of the toxic people he trusted in his past. Riku's story. In order to make this less confusing, we're going to ignore all the times he interacts with Replica, because those interactions are more about Replica than Riku. So next time, when we come back, we'll talk about Replica and how he fits into the story and how he represents a very different struggle. But Riku's story can be broken into a few worlds, and this is a lot. Entering the castle, Hollow Bastion, Monstro, the Jolly Roger, Traverse Town, the fight with Lexaeus, Destiny Islands, and the fight with Zexion. The story is very dense, and if you want to follow the whole thing, I have a podcast called Not So Alone, and I've decided to release Riku's story weekly for the next 2 months. I think it's pretty fun, and if more people watch it, I might release more episodes more often. But the story is so vast that I don't want to explain everything and spoil how it all goes down. So here's the basic plot. Riku escapes the realm of darkness, and he is warned if he keeps going through the castle, he will learn the truth, and the truth will be painful. In Hollow Bastion, we learn about how alone and isolated he was in Kingdom Hearts 1. How he would sit on the balcony and think about all the people who he thinks hate him for what he's done. He fights an illusion of Maleficent, who lies and manipulates him, making him think that she is the only person who understands and accepts him. She is the mistress of evil and definitely gives off some major queer energy. In Monstro, Riku has a short moment with Pinocchio, where Pinocchio asks him why he's so alone. And afterward, as Riku wanders the insides of the whale, he thinks back to the night that this all started, the night he left. He went back to the island to check on the raft, and he found a great big door in the secret spot. And Ansem spoke to him and tempted him to open the door. And Riku never hesitated. Nothing could stop him from leaving. But Kairi showed up. Riku reveals with his thoughts in the book that he resents that all Kairi could think about was Sora, and all Sora could think about was Kairi. He knew that together he and his friends could do anything, but they had each other and he had no one. Riku asks Ansem if they could come with, and he nods and disappears. Riku leaves to find Sora. When he runs into him, Sora brings up Kairi, and Riku is mad that Sora only cares about her, and she only cares about him. He's jealous. But once they leave the island, everything will change. Riku holds out his hand, and he doesn't even see the darkness surrounding them. All he sees is Sora. I didn't make this up. This is in the book. It's canon. I quote, "All I cared about was that Sora was right there, and I was reaching for him. But then the darkness took him, and ever since then, I've been completely alone." He doesn't know why he ended up so alone. Next, he goes to the Jolly Roger, the ship from Peter Pan, and he hopes that he will see his friends again. But he's still all alone. Riku feels like he deserves to be punished. No one stays with me, not even the king. How can I get this darkness out of me? He feels the wind on his face and thinks of home. But suddenly, Hook shows up, and Riku points his sword at him. Hook asks him why he would hurt his friend, and Riku says, "You were never my friend." Hook says, "Lying to yourself is bad form. You were one of us, and now you betray us." Riku says his real friends are Kairi and Sora, but the darkness is growing in him. And then Hook says this whopper: "No matter where you go, you will never escape the dark. Accept the darkness in yourself, Riku." I don't need the darkness. Why is this happening? These people aren't my friends. More and more, I can't trust myself. Is this the truth? That I can't win without the darkness? That I have to just give up and let it take me? He didn't want to know the truth. The truth about himself. The harder he tried to fight the darkness, the stronger it got. Riku still couldn't believe in himself, but he could believe in what Mickey told him, that even in the deepest darkness, there is still light. Riku is struggling with parts of himself that he doesn't like. At one point he says that the darkness is disgusting and that he hates his own smell, the smell of darkness. These struggles are inherently queer. There's no denying that. This is what it feels like when you hate your own sexuality. I know because I felt it for years. Hook, Ansem, and Maleficent represent people who use his own identity against him. The darkness isn't evil. The people who take advantage of him are. This happens more than people think. Sometimes you want to be accepted so much that you run with a sketchy crowd, and they use you. You don't respect yourself, and no one can tell me this isn't queer themed. Next up in Riku's arc, he fights Replica. I'll talk more about that next time, but after the fight, Ansem shows up again, taunting Riku, telling him that the replica is a model of what he's meant to be. Maybe Riku is the real copy. When have I ever been afraid of the dark? You are frightened of the darkness. Riku thinks that Ansem is trying to trick him, so he decides he's going to keep fighting harder. Ansem tells him that he can't resist the darkness, but Riku is stubborn, and he still doesn't believe him. He returns to Traverse Town and remembers how Maleficent manipulated him, how she separated him from Sora by using his insecurity to make him think Sora replaced him, that he never cared about him at all. He regrets listening to her. He's angry, he's sad, he's lonely, but deep down, he still believes what she said. Now this is the point where stuff gets confusing, because it's really hard to tell in the moment who is Replica and who is Riku in the book. Sometimes that's done on purpose to confuse you, but the next moment the real Riku appears is when he fights Lexius, the big buff bro. Lexius wants Riku to embrace the darkness, as everybody in this story does. Riku won't, but Lexius fights him anyway. After the fight, Riku is swallowed by the darkness, trapped in the dark. Riku is confronted by his worst fear, Ansem. And Ansem is the gayest character I have ever seen. Look at him. He looks like he just came out of a club. Come on. As Riku is about to lose everything, and he's about to fade away and be taken by depression and turn into nothing more than a puppet to Ansem, Mickey Mouse saves him. Ansem fades away, Riku wakes up, but he is all alone. But he remembered what Mickey said. He wasn't alone. Mickey Mouse, regrettably, is Riku's authority figure. He is meant to be the voice of reason, the well-meaning family he never had. But even the corporate mascot Mickey Mouse has prejudice. Mickey agrees with Riku that the darkness is evil, that Riku should fight it, that this part that Riku hates is also shunned by society and his surrogate dad. He feels alone, he feels isolated and broken, and he feels like a monster. But he knows that people care about him. At this point, at least for Riku, he has gone into the deepest darkness and learned that he is not alone. Right after that, what happens? He learns that Sora is in the castle. I shit you not, Riku can tell that Marluxia, the pink-haired guy, just died because apparently Riku has a magic nose. It's really dumb, and I just try not to think about the fact that Riku won't shut the fuck up about smelling shit. Like, why not just have him sense shit with, like, force-like powers? Why make him magic smell? I don't get it. But Zexion, the emo, tells Riku that Sora killed Marluxia, and Riku just realized that Sora was here, and he's happy. But Zexion warns him that Riku is a bad guy, and he asks him, what would Sora think of him now? He gives him a card made from Destiny Islands, and he tells him, go grasp the truth, and Riku moves on. We're almost done with Riku's story. Can you tell why I split this into 2 videos? My recording is at 25 minutes right now. I feel like Replica should be his own video, so I'ma do that. Riku returns to an illusion of his home, Destiny Islands, and sees all his old friends, but they can't see him. Maleficent told him earlier that he can only interact with people affected by the darkness. Riku is confronted by Zexion again. Riku destroyed his home, and Zexion told Riku that he would only be alone. He is only darkness. And Riku knows that all this shit he's been told is bullshit. Riku feels immense guilt for listening to Ansem. And growing up, he hated being trapped on the islands. So he opened the door and he destroyed his home. When you're gay and you live in isolated places, you tend to want to run away from it. I know I did. And Riku was so desperate to leave, he made a deal with Ansem, a literal gay devil. This shit feels so much like my own life. I feel like Nomura was spying on me this whole time. I wanted to leave my home so much that I went into a massive debt and gave away my freedom just so I wouldn't be back there. And in the end, you can't run away from your gayness. You just end up back where you started. You have to accept it. And Zexion tells Riku that Riku is a creature of darkness, that he doesn't know what he really is. And then Riku is attacked by the person he loves most. And I gotta tell you, not Kairi, not Namine, no, it's Sora.
Sora! It's me! Ah! What? Stop it, Sora! Don't you recognize me?
Yeah, I recognize you. I can see exactly what you've become. How can the light hurt you? Riku, have you really become a creature of the dark? You're not Riku anymore. You're just a pawn of the darkness. So be it. It's time for you to face the light!
Riku is surrounded by light, and he is fading away. Sora was about to destroy him, but at the last moment, a girl held his hand. Namine. This is actually the first time he meets her in the story, is at the end. She tells him, the light won't defeat you, the dark won't either. So don't run from the light, and don't fear the darkness, because together they will make you stronger. The darkness in your heart is vast and deep. Riku must embrace his darkness. And if he does, he will find the way. Riku still feels like he can't face his friends, but he wants to. Using his darkness, he defeats Zexion very easily, and Riku knows who he is. Even if the darkness is in him, he's still him. It doesn't change who he is. If that's not gay, then nothing is. Let's recap. This is the story of a boy who hated his home, who felt jealous of his friends' romantic feelings for each other, who only cared about his close male friend, who sacrificed everything to run away from his home, only to be alone in a toxic situation. He confronts the toxic people who manipulated him, fighting his own literal gay demon, slowly learns that he's not alone, accepts the things he's been denying about himself his entire life, knowing it makes him stronger, and eventually becomes something different, something new. Am I blind? Do my glasses not work? Huh? Can I not see? At the end of the game, Riku is given a choice. Forget everything that he has learned and return home, or keep the memories, the trauma, and keep what he's learned, and move forward. Guess what he does? He looks at Sora, sleeping in a pod, and he makes a joke. The only moment that Riku is truly feeling joy is saying that he told Sora to stay and protect Kairi, and here he is, taking a nap. If he forgot all of his gay trauma, he wouldn't be here to mock Sora for sleeping on the job. At the very end of the game, he and Mickey share a great moment. Mickey says,
"Up till now, I thought darkness was something that should never exist. Then, I spent time with you and changed my mind. The road you chose, I didn't know. Light and dark, back to back. With you, I think they might meet in a way nobody's seen before. Wonder where that road leads. I'd like to see myself. I'd like to walk the road with ya."
Your Majesty, I'm really flattered. I don't know what to say.
Gosh, Riku, you know you don't have to call me that now. We're pals.
Fair enough, Mickey.
At first, I thought the darkness was something to be afraid of, but getting to know you, I understand that it's a part of you. You are different. Riku is then asked, at the crossroads of destiny, do you take the road to light or the road to darkness? And Riku says, neither. I'll walk the path between, the road to dawn. So, to summarize the possible gay subtext, do it be gay? Yes. Riku is gay. He hates being trapped in a non-gay place. He likes Sora, but he doesn't think Sora's gay. So he runs away with an evil demon man. He is manipulated by bad people. He escapes. He learns he's not alone. He hates his own identity, but he deconstructs it, learns what lies have been told to him, and what parts of him are good, accepts himself and his gayness, and decides to use his trauma and his pain to understand and accept his own sexuality in order to both help himself and the guy he likes. Now, if you still don't believe me, you need to take a long look in the mirror and figure out why you care so much. I want people to understand how this is one of the greatest stories ever told. How all the people who believe in it are valid. And along the way, I want to learn more about myself and these games as a whole. Because yes, they are very confusing and convoluted, but underneath all that craziness is an amazing story. And even deeper, maybe a gay story. Anyway, as always, I'm Aloni the Bard. Thanks for listening. Bye. Oh man, I really like this script. And I just spent an hour writing this for the third time. Check out the new season of the podcast. I timed it out, so you should be able to hear most of the story before the next video comes out. I think in order to not overwhelm myself, making 6 podcasts at once was probably a bad idea. So I'm going to release each show one at a time instead of trying to put them out as I make them. I should have done this from the beginning, but I'm a big dumb idiot, so you know. Now, I might not be as consistent posting videos for the next month. I'm going to try to rest a little bit more. I don't think that I actually need a break. I just need better priorities. But check out the show. It's pretty good. It should be up now. And next time, I'm going to talk about how Replica might be a metaphor for some really dark stuff. So keep an eye out. Anyway, I need to sleep. Bye.
You and Kairi smell the same. The Ansem in my heart smells darker. The odor is more foul. One of the scents has died. A really strong one. You reek of darkness. Even the light can't block the smell. I guess I followed the darkness right to you.
This is absurd.